Started with 500, on my way to a mil, closed over 100 deals. Can't change us. It's the game changers. It's the game changers.
You want to ask yourself every single day, am I doing everything possible to reach that goal? Don't get too far yourself. Stay in the moment, stay grounded, and continue to push every single day. Welcome to the Game Changer Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Bryant, and we got two special guests with us today. We got Malik and Anthony. How y'all doing?
Doing well, and yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm good. So let's bring it back, right? Before we get into the real estate, because we could talk a lot about real estate, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about before real estate, right? What were y'all doing before real estate?
Started with me. I worked at Academy Sports and Outdoors, bro. I was a what's it called, shoe salesman. So all I did was sell shoes to kids, you know, men, ladies, everything, in the shoe and the footwear section.
What made you get into that?
I just needed a job at the time, bro.
I needed money.
Yeah. So I went there. I worked at dealers before that, so I already had a good resume for retail. So I was like, you know what, this new academy by my house just opened up. I'm gonna just go over there, and I was just kicking it over there for a minute until I got serious about life and got into the real estate field.
Okay, what about you, Anthony?
At the beginning, I started in construction, I guess when I was 16, 17 years old. I mean, I've been doing everything since like framing and roofing.
So you've been in real estate.
So been in real estate, I guess, not for myself, just for other people. So I seen it when it came down to like cost. But then I immediately, in college, got into sales. Dropped out of college because I was making decent money selling tile. So I was still in the construction field, selling things for houses and new builds. And then I guess you could say I went about 6 or 7 more years in the construction field until it started to, it iced one time in Dallas, and I was actually watching TikTok. There's a local guy, his name is Giovanni Morato. I was watching his TikTok videos. I was sitting at the table while we were iced in. Was it 2 weeks? It was like in 2021, something like that. It was 2 weeks we were iced in.
So when you saying iced in, like
no one
you can't go outside.
Yeah, in Texas. It's not like when it snows in Texas, you can't go nowhere. If you want to keep your life, you gotta stay inside in Texas when it ices. But it just, that video, it all just made sense with what I was doing, and then it just, I guess all roads led to wholesale.
Okay, so I'll tell a lot of people, right, before they get into wholesaling, they have like a mindset shift.
Exactly.
So they read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Think and Grow Rich.
Exactly.
Did you guys read anything before you got into wholesaling?
Mine wasn't more reading. Mine was just like having an epiphany that I'm getting older and I need to get serious about my money. And so I just started looking up ways to make money on YouTube. And then obviously you got a lot of avenues to make money, like e-commerce, wholesaling, SMMA, stuff like that. And I just decided, real estate is what kind of I've already been interested in. Yeah. So I just kind of chose that avenue, and I started kind of binge watching YouTube University.
You remember the first person that
Brandon Daniels, for sure.
Brandon Daniels.
Actually, no, Max Maxwell. Because I'm like, okay, as a black man, I can see myself in him. I want to kind of look like that when I grow up.
So Max and Brent, what about you?
Me, it was a lifestyle change. I think I was 29 going into 30. Was talking to somebody who is now my fiance. Had future of like kids and stuff like that. What I was doing was good, and what she was doing made money. But it just made sense because we were planning on like having children, and I wanted something I could do from at the house. I was an elevator technician before, so I was always out. Even when COVID hit, I was one of those essential workers or whatever that still had to go out.
Still had to work.
And so like, my parents worked multiple jobs when we were growing up. Not saying I never seen them, you know what I mean? But they were gone for a lot. If it wasn't for my older brothers, like we probably would have been in like daycare and stuff like that. So just wanting to be at the house, whether I was in the office and working while raising him, at least I got to see. Now having that 10-month-old, I'm glad I did it because you get to see his first cross, his first step, like his first words.
Made that right choice.
Yeah.
So now, why real estate? Like, what was it about wholesaling that intrigued y'all?
I mean, first they say you making money, without really having that much money. I didn't have a lot of capital when I first started. And then you also learn that the most millionaires that are made are in the real estate industry. So I was like, okay, let me see what's here. Something's here. So I just gotta, put the pieces together. Yeah. So that's really what it was for me, bro. I was just like, you know what? I know how to talk to people. I know I believe in myself. Obviously, you're nervous at the beginning and you have doubts, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do the work.
Yeah, just lock in.
Hopefully it pays off. Yeah.
Yep. What about you? What made you pick that? Why real estate?
It went hand in hand with everything I did. It seemed comfortable, I guess you could say, familiar. Where sales, construction, all I needed to know was the numbers from there, and I always loved math. So it all just it made sense when the video hit me. It was like, I guess you say epiphany, a coincidence, God-led, divine,
right?
However you want to say it, but it just made sense, and everything just went well. So real estate, I've always had an interest in the knowledge of the 1%, and that's where it is.
Okay, so now y'all choose wholesale, y'all pick real estate, but it's a grind, right? Even though,
Wow, some story, man.
especially if you don't got no money.
Exactly.
It's a grind, and most of us start with no money, no capital. So how'd y'all get y'all first deal, and how long did it take?
I'll start from the beginning, bro. I had a partner. He actually showed me wholesaling in the first place. There's a dude called Mark Whitten. He was on the Breakfast Club.
Mark Whitten.
The first interview I saw.
Me too.
Yeah, really? And so I was like, okay, another black guy. I feel like I could do this. So I started, man, it's been so long. So I started driving for dollars. And then we knocked on this lady's door. I had another partner at the time. And she was like, she wanted to sell. So we got her eventually under contract, or to agree to a price.
And this is the first deal.
Yes,
door knock.
Yeah, door knock. Yeah.
Ooh, that take a lot of courage.
It do. I was definitely nervous. But she was like, yeah, I'm actually trying to sell this house. So like, okay, cool. But when we come back the next day or a week after, she was like $100K less than we had agreed upon. So we agreed on $215. We knew we could sell it for around like 300 something, and then when we came back the next day, she was like, "No, I said 315." I was like, "No, you didn't." So it's just a little miscommunication. But my first deal was off of Mojo Dollar. I pulled a list off Propstream, just calling, and then we came across this lady that had 2 acres in Greenville, Texas, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I just want to sell it. I don't do nothing. I pay taxes off of this. I don't have really no use for it." So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, how much do you want for it? She's like, 20K. I was like, okay. And then I don't know how to comp at this time. This is my first shit. So she was like, so I take it back to my mentor at the time. His name's McLean Bobby. He actually lives in Greenville, so he has education on that market because he actually lives there. And he was like, bro, you can sell this for like 120. I was like, well, she wants 20. He was like, yeah, well, okay, you're gonna make 100K then. I was like, really? So okay, so we get it on the contract. It took 3 months, title. I didn't know about title clearance, none of that stuff. Title issues. It took so much work to get to the closing table, but it happened. And it closed on my mom's birthday. We got a 100K check.
Wow. Your first deal was 100K?
That's actually how I met him. He came across that somehow. Probably I posted on Facebook or something. He DM me like, I hope $1 million hits your account, and then we happen to just live 10 minutes down the street to each other. So everything's divine, bro. I believe God put us together to work together.
Yeah. So how'd you get your first deal?
My first deal was crazy. So like I told you, I seen everything on TikTok, right? So just a couple videos. It was interesting what he said, so I swiped right and I looked at what he was saying. And so I kind of dove a little bit more deep, went to YouTube University, like learned a little bit more from the people like Brent, Jamil, the individuals most people like grow up learning off of. And then I go to work, so that ice freeze, it melts, everyone has to go back. And I'm talking about how I just found like this new crazy thing on YouTube. Like I thought I was the only person who was doing it, didn't know it was that big, you know what I mean? And it just so happened in the elevator company, my boss, he was talking about, he was like, man, a good friend of ours just passed away and he happened to be in the will. And it was 9 acres, and there was like 6 mobile homes on it that weren't necessarily like, you can't get insurance on them, they're too old, but there were still people in there renting. And so he said, do you think you could do anything with it? And to me, it's like sales, like give it to me. They said, go to Facebook. So that's exactly what I did. Like, didn't necessarily have it under contract, didn't know what a contract was. I thought because he told me I could market it, I could. So I put it on Facebook. And the individual who I now call my mentor, Scott Orban, is one of the first people who commented on it. He's like, hey, I have someone for this. He was like, take it down now. Let's talk about it, right? So I didn't take it down. I just talked to him. I was like, because I mean, who is he? Like in sales, I'm like first person, like 7 touches, how you sell it. So he starts going through it, and it's terrible, right? So I thought it was a smoking deal, but there was no lease information on anyone who lived in these mobile homes. There was no necessarily, the probate wasn't complete, so we had to wait on it. So to me, I was like, I just want to save the deal. Scott saying he could sell it. I'll give you 100% of it if you teach me the steps. Because I know, teach me to fish and how to cook, and I'll be okay. And then he did it, walked me through it. It actually took like 7 months. I closed 2 more deals before that one closed, but that was my first deal.
Wow.
And then I learned a little bit more deep than most people do on their first deal. They call, do a house, and then sell it. Like, we had to go to the doors, knock on it, ask them who they were, how much do they pay, do they know the people here, and then like with the 9 acres, if we could do something else with it. And then somebody who actually owned like small mobile homes, he just wanted to add it to his portfolio. Yeah. And then like halfway through it, the agent, I guess, had that listed, called me up and said, "You're illegally marketing my my property on Facebook." Right. So to me, I'm like, "Scott, like, help me, bro." I was like, this person called me, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, first off, delete it, and then let's get on the phone with them. Yeah. Well, he's been trying to sell it for a couple of years now. We had a way higher offer than he had. He just wanted to be cut in. So I actually got to step away. And then the agent and then my now mentor chopped it up. They ended up taking it to close about 7 months later, and then they gave me $10K out of it.
Word? How much did they make?
30 and 50.
That's dope.
That's still like
dope.
If I knew what I was doing, it would have been a pretty low first deal.
But you just got a mentorship off of that one deal.
And still to this day, nobody can talk to that man, and he answers my phone every time I call.
Yep. And with both of y'all stories, I like that it was a grind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you had to call on Mojo. You ain't know nothing about this acres. You ain't know nothing about the acres either. But once you have a deal, you'll find the opportunity to sell it. Somebody will come to you, money, investors, whatever, mentors.
The deal is gonna come to you.
Exactly.
The buyer will come to you. For sure.
So now, what happens after this?
Oh man, for me, so I got 100K.
Yeah.
See, I still got the screenshot. Right? Bank of America 111000 in my account. So I'm like, okay, I want to scale this up. So I get an office in downtown Fort Worth. I had a partner named Elijah Thompson at the time. We got so we have another partner. He's not here on surgery, but I hired him as my acquisition manager. So he was, the one locking up the deals for me. And so it's really just like a grind. And
how are you learning this though? Like,
it's YouTube, bro. I'm just YouTube. Well, let me go back. I worked for but after Academy, I got hired. I went to a real estate event and I met a dude named Will Haran, and he hired me to be his acquisitions manager because I was in there actually engaging in the conversation. He thought I was a sharp man. So he took me out of Academy. He's like, you know what, you can start for me, commission based, and I had a base salary. And so I was literally, he just put me on the phone, just talking to people. I didn't know what I was doing. But I just started talking to people every day. I had a dude named Brian who was their lead acquisition manager at the time. So I was kind of replicating what he was doing. I'm just listening, okay, taking notes, okay, he's saying that. He's negating this point like that. So I'm just literally learning by just listening. And so after that, they moved me to Dispo manager. He had a partner named Daniel. And so he took over from there. He taught me how to do Dispo, how to talk to the buyers, how to sell stuff. And then once I had both, sides of the equation, acquisition and Dispo, and I'm making, just a little sliver of what they're making, I'm like, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. Can I kind of spread my wings like a butterfly and do my own thing? And they, they supported it. And I'm still friends with them to this day.
Yeah, that's dope.
And so that's kind of how I learned, shorten the learning curve.
Yeah.
Because I worked for another company as yourself.
Yep, and that's exactly what I did. I worked for Dan. Went through that same scenario, right? Yeah,
we both worked for Dan.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Just watching him, listening to the him make calls, taking notes, recording him, and then practicing it later on in the mirror, with the tonality and everything. Yep. So now, how do you guys connect?
So like I said, he DM'd me, and then there's a big dude named Donovan Ruffin out of Dallas. He throws these events. At the time, it was at the Virgin Hotel, and it's crazy. We all met, our whole team met on the same day. Elijah brought Devin, my acquisition manager at the time, to the event. He came up, he pulled up, and I was there, and we all just met that same day. At the time, we didn't, merge at that day, but I was already working with Devin. He was my acquisition manager. Once me and Elijah, had different visions for what we wanted to do in the company, we split up, and then me and him were, selling, like we were the guys. Either I'm selling the deal or he's selling the deal. Like, why don't we just join forces and create something big? And that's what we did.
That makes sense.
Since then.
So like, what do you do in the business and what do you do in the business? Or do y'all do the same things?
We have different roles. So they kind of make me the face of the company as far as we're a JV based model right now. We're going direct to seller this year, but right now we've been doing a lot of dispo for wholesalers that have, you know, deals under contract that they need to move and they don't have, you know, the buyers access that we have. So I'm kind of the guy that goes out here, we call them suppliers, and I literally make relationships with other wholesalers that, you know, need help moving property. So I'm on, you know, Instagram, Facebook, being loud, going to events. I've been on, you know, Brandale's podcast as yourself. So just finding ways to, you know, get exposure out there so people know that we even exist.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so he would be the face of acquisition. He oversees that. I would say Devin would be the face. Devin guy, he would be the face of the admin work. So he does a lot when it comes down to comping now, making the packet, sending them out when there is a deal and they come back. Then he does the TC work, basically the title work after.
Yeah.
And then I would be over the head of dispositions as it sits. It used to be we all did everything and floated, but now we knew that we needed to separate in order to master and then delegate.
Yeah.
So I would be dispositions, basically trying to teach the VAs how to sell, how to be on a timely manner. And then I would say me and Devin and Malik, in the position now where we're coming from owner operations to business owners. So we're all like evolving out of it. Yeah. So we just created our SOPs, our standard operating procedures and stuff like that. And then making sure the systems are in place. And then the way our workflow of our company goes. So we float now, but it would be acquisitions and then Devin would be like admin TC and then he floats over to disposition. And then I would be head over dispo and help float over to acquisitions as well as TC sometimes.
That's a good flow. What are, I guess, 3 disposition tips that you could give the viewers?
Don't sleep on Facebook. Honestly, to tell you the truth, if you have disposition tips, let's say the question that everybody is going to ask is like building buyers list, right?
Yeah.
Facebook is the place to do it. And the way you do it is if nobody's sending you any properties, right? The easiest free way to start is on JVs. If no one's sending you any properties and you haven't locked up anything on cold calling, but you are grinding, I recommend spending about 30 minutes a day going to, let's say I'm in Dallas, right? Yeah. So having conversations with these buyers, they'll tell you some hot zip codes. If you go to Facebook and you go to all the wholesale groups that are local, and not even just local, like you could do the general, like Superhuman Wholesaling, All In, Wholesale Hotline Live.
Land your first deal.
Land your first deal, same thing. But it's true, right? Because you can go in there and you can type in a hot zip code that someone told you about, and then you'll see someone post a deal, whether it's land or houses, whatever you feel like doing. Go through and see who put that email in and said, I'm an end buyer. And then you go and you message them, say, hey, I'm looking to get some deals in pretty soon down the pipeline. Like, let's have a conversation. And then so to me, you go to Facebook to build your buyers list if you have nothing. And then I say tip number 2 when it comes down to dispositions is overcome rebuttals. That's the biggest thing that you can think of is overcoming rebuttals.
What is one rebuttal that you come across a lot?
Interest rates. Yeah. You just got to know what their interest rate is so you can factor in whether your deal is too heavy or not. And that actually leads into tip number 3 is understand when you're selling, I guess since we're talking about land, right?
Yeah.
When you're selling land, the biggest disposition tip I could give anybody is understand that you can comp it 2 ways, right? Lot to lot or new build. But when you're comping to new build and you're trying to find a profit, right? So if the lot costs $40K and through conversation you figure out how much this builder can build per square foot.
Yeah.
So you get that square foot and you multiply it by the square foot of the buildings being built in the area, and then you add it to the cost of the lot, and then you subtract it from what the new build sell, right?
Okay.
But you also got to take off 8% from it. So when you have that new build cost, let's say it's $300.
Okay.
You got 3% that's going to go to the first agent, 3% that's going to go to the second agent. So you got the buyer side and the seller side, and then you got title costs. I don't know what they are here. On average, they're 1%, but I like to say 2% because I like blanket and cushions, right? Yeah. So if it's selling for $300, you got to take off 8% before you do that minus. And then when you purchase the lot, you got to add on another closing cost too. So that's another 2%.
Yeah. So
that right there can make a deal that when you do your math normally $40K, it can make it $12K and the builder's not going to buy it. So understand when they build and sell it, what comes off of that price. And then when they buy the lot, what gets added on to that price. And then you got to know, are they paying their own cash? Or when they get a hard money loan, is there an interest rate that they got to pay monthly? So then you just keeps on ticking away. So
now what about lot to lot basis?
So when it comes down to lot, it's the same thing because it all comes down to what they can build and sell on it, right? Yeah. So just because someone bought a lot for $70K, they may want to sit on it for tax reasons, so they didn't care how much they paid for it. Mm-hmm. So comping lot to lot really just helps you to have an idea if there's multiple selling in that same area, what that lot's selling for. But the true way to know is to have a new build in the area. Most buyers like 3 in the past 6 months, right? So if you're comping and there's only 1 lot comp in the past 6 months, that's not an investor-friendly area, right? Or it could be. It's just there's no reason to go find the new spot. Why don't you just get a piece of the pie? Mm-hmm. But the true thing is knowing what the new builds are costing, what the square foot is building for, how much that builder can build that per square foot, and then the lot comp. And as soon as you can get those 3 things into motion, you now start making these people profit.
And these are questions that you ask the builder or each builder.
Exactly.
So the whole point is to put yourself in their shoes. That's when builders will love you. If you can literally have the mindset of a builder. We're not just wholesalers out here. Like, if you're just a wholesaler, like you can't answer, some of the questions, or you're not going to give them a product that they want. You can, be them, at least, quote unquote.
Act as if.
Act as them. Yeah, they're gonna respect that, and they're gonna know that, okay, I can come to these guys to actually give me a deal where I can be profitable.
Exactly. And then one thing you guys could do is use it for negotiation too. The builder's gonna tell you the bad things and the good things about the lot. Sure. Use the bad things to get the seller even lower.
Exactly.
And that's how.
Ammo. Like, I got the ammo. Let me go back, try to get a price reduction.
Exactly. So my team, our strategy is we reach out to the builders first. Get their criterias, and then just fill their orders. Mm-hmm. How do you guys? Go about that? Do you guys reach out to builders first?
I would say it's the same. It's the same thing. Honestly, our formula when it comes down to it is now that we're a little bit more established, we have the builders. We're now focusing on dumbing down the list that we have. But it'd be the same when it came down to it. Like I was saying earlier on Facebook, reaching out to those builders, getting their criteria. I guess something to add into that part of the conversation, like when we do reach out to the builders and then fill their orders, like you were saying, it's just making sure can they take as many orders as we're trying to produce. That's a big thing for us. Mm-hmm. But we don't want them to be too big to where, they hold the key to everything and it's the choices with them. We want someone to have like 3 to 10 a year and then have 10 of those. That way we know for a fact that if we have some crazy 300 deal year or anything like that, we would have buyers to fill the order. So we're not necessarily just like spraying and praying and anybody can get it. Like if you do 1 or 2, that's okay. Like if for some reason our VIPs or our email marketing doesn't work, we'll call you. But we're really trying to hyper focus on the builders that we're calling. Not no crazy like DR Horton, but we don't want somebody who's like a doctor just building a house or 2 to pay for his bills. You know what I'm saying? Just
like
an
that
extra stream of income. Yeah, we want that 3 to 10 who do this and they have to do it to feed the people they hire to do it. Mm-hmm. And then if they do 10 to 12, a lot of times they have their own employees and stuff like that. So their build cost is cheaper. Okay. So we hyper focus on what type of builders we talk to. And
y'all only do this in Dallas?
Dallas and Houston.
Okay.
That's kind of the reason we're going direct to seller, because we're trying to fulfill those orders. So we're kind of leaning on our suppliers, other wholesalers, or whatever inventory they have. And sometimes they don't have what our builders are looking for. And that's why, I think it's always smart to, control the contract and actually pull leads that are compatible with what your builder's looking for.
Yeah. So with you guys just doing dispositions, how do you guys get the acquisitions? Like in terms of you just post it in your group?
Yeah, we have a group, DFW Wholesale Land and Lots. So we're posting every day. We have 2 dispo managers, and they have a hot builder of the day every day in a morning meeting. So Anthony's asking John and Fernando, okay, what builders the previous day have you talked to? What's the criteria? How much volume can he take? How much can he close a month? And so my job is to go on our Facebook groups and other Facebook groups and utilize those and say, okay, if they're saying his hotspot is 75215 zip code, then I'm going on Facebook. Who has inventory 7?
Okay. Yeah, I be seeing those all the time on Instagram.
Exactly. But the goal is to go direct to seller this month. That way we can just have our own leads in that zip code if need be.
Yeah. So with just doing dispositions, what's the biggest deal somebody brought y'all?
Honestly, there was a couple of them, but I think both of them one was like 75 and the other one was just over 6 figures. It wasn't anything like crazy, but There was one.
Some people don't even.
Not to me. Like I'm trying to hit the 500, 700, 800s. You know what I'm saying? And those are to a lot of people. The people don't touch deals that are under 7 figures. And so to me, just keeping that mindset is hopefully I can elevate out of the simple mindset that I have. But I mean, total assignment fees, we've definitely come close to 200 multiple times. Multiple times.
Definitely cleared over $1 million in assignment fees as we've been, in business together. And then, another mindset is, we landed today or yesterday. He was like, Malik, put in your head, we're gonna make a 300K assignment in this quarter. So just, what you look for and what you put out there is what you're gonna receive. So if you say that every day, you write it down every day, I believe the law of attraction is real. Or whatever you believe in, I believe in God, pray, whatever it is. If he wants it for you, and he feels like you can be a good steward of that blessing, he'll give it to you.
That's most definitely true. So, and what's impressive to me is y'all not even doing direct to seller.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
So these is people bringing that to you based off of y'all network and you reaching out to builders. I tell people in my group all the time, you got a builder, you really not broke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Go get some deals for them, feed them.
That's all you got to do.
Something I learned from you, he was talking about tract home builders, custom home builders, and spec home builders, and the builders we're tailoring to are the spec home builders most of the time. So I appreciate that, Jim. I didn't even know what kind of builder I was talking about. So I'm like, there's a difference between these.
Yeah. What about realtors? Do y'all utilize realtors?
Sure.
Yeah, we definitely utilize. We use. I'd say everybody, both on the X side and the disposition side. So realtors in this is because you could talk to a builder, and a builder can want 3 to 10 a year, but a realtor is 10 investors in one, sometimes 50 investors in one. They're not just one person. They're looking for a whole wild things.
Yeah.
So you talk to 10 realtors, I say, who's been doing it at least 5 years, 10 years, which they know the wholesale game. They're not just in the traditional. They're not stuck just off the book. They know how it actually works, and so they're not scared to get into it.
Yeah.
They got 20 investors that are looking for as-is properties for them all the time. So utilizing investors it'll triple your buyers list, and it won't look like that. It look like you have 100 people, but truly you got 3K because of the investors that are in it. And a lot of times they're paid by the buyer. So like they don't even got to come into your pockets by any means. So.
And I hope y'all pay attention to this. This is a gem for real. We've been utilizing realtors, on our out-of-state markets, and we've been actually getting higher assignment fees or higher double closing.
Because they know the market.
Because they know the market. They know the builders already. So all we have to do is find the deal and bring it to them, and we break bread together.
Bro, we went to a Mexican spot yesterday. Some lady just pulls up on us, sits right next to us. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a lawyer, real estate lawyer." She's like, "Oh, what's that company? What all do you do?" And she was dealing with a case that involved the easement, something like that. And she has a brokerage, and she has agents that work for them. And she has all these off-market leads in Tampa that she needs help moving. She's like a strip club, she said, something like that.
She has an off-market strip club. She has an off-market, I think it was like a smoke shop. But she also is a lawyer inside of the real estate game, so probates come across her desk all the time. So it's just not realtors. Like it's a lot of people. It's title agents, because title agents, like, they get relationships with these sellers sometimes, and when it falls through, they feel it. And so they're like, "Hey, I know a dispo team that knows how to move these. Like, you mind if I pass me your information?" So word of mouth when it comes down to title agents, lawyers, realtors, this is their game. It's their hustle. It's not someone just who has like a teacher position and they're looking to make another $6,000 on the side wholesaling. Like, they hustle. They do the same thing we do, just in another field, and it all correlates. So
I hope y'all paying attention, because what they're basically saying is all you have to do is build relationships.
That's it.
If you don't have no money, right? If you pop broke, $0 to your name, you build a relationship, you really not broke. You got money.
Look at that relationship as a stream of income.
Right. That's a good mindset to have. So let me ask y'all some mindset questions. I got some for y'all. So first thing first, what inspired y'all to become entrepreneurs?
I'll say for me, my dad, he's in the IT. He has his own IT company. He has his own real estate investment company. He owns multifamily and single family in Alabama. So I've grown up in a house where I had a black man that provided and had an entrepreneurial spirit since I was a baby. And I've always, looked up to that and wanted to be like that. He kind of showed me a good lifestyle growing up, and I was like, okay, I want to be able to do this when I grow up too. And in order to do that, you gotta have some paper in your pockets. So I'm like, okay, I gotta find my own way. I didn't want to do cybersecurity. I don't want to do IT, but real estate, you know, came in my life, and that's what I'm using to pay the bills and do stuff like come to Tampa and chill with you.
Right. Slip.
So I mean, to me, mindset, inspiration, I would say it's my mother, but it's I guess if I had to say it was a person for sure, it was her, because she was somebody who had 9 to 5s all the time. She worked 12 to 16 hours a day, and then all of a sudden she got tired of it and she wanted to spend time with her kids. So she decided that she wanted to create her own business. We were talking about her off camera to where it's like she does mineral rights, like subcrust things. Like all y'all land people think it's just above crust.
Yeah.
Mineral rights is a whole nother game. So when we started talking about that and how she did that and how she became that, I noticed that her time was taking up too much. So my inspiration was when it comes down to the 3 most important, money, energy, and time, like obviously God's in front, but when it comes down to living, I wanted my time back.
Yeah.
And so to become an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be there for the future child that I now have, I needed my time. So
need that time.
That was it.
Yep. So what advice can y'all give? Let's say y'all go back to 21 years old. What is one advice you would give to that 21-year-old Malik and Anthony?
Oh man, mine would just be to be more courageous and stop overthinking everything. I'm very analytical and I overthink a lot. And you know, when you first learn about wholesaling, I'm sure you're gonna come across the term analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And because people want to learn, but then they don't want to take action because it's nerve-wracking. I used to literally, when I first got on the Mojo Dialer,
right,
I had a Rubik's Cube, bro, because I was so nervous. I had all this nervous energy. I had to let it out somehow because I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't feel competent. I don't feel like I belong. So you have all these, you know, negative mindsets that deposit, but you gotta do the work in order to combat that. You literally have to fail forward. And that's how you literally change your mindset DNA to believe that, okay, this is possible for me, because you're actually seeing results. But at first it starts with failing. Fail, it means first attempt at learning to me. So that's my thing.
What about you?
Tell my 21-year-old self,
Yeah.
get in touch with God and realize what plan he has in store for you before it's too late. And then that way he can show you what your gift is, and now you hone it and go make it your own. Okay. So getting in touch with God and learning what path he has for you is probably the most important thing any 21-year-old could do.
How do you get in that touch? I know I don't want to get too.
I know it's because it's recent for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's Devin. I mean, honestly, my parents took me to church. I grew up in church, but actually, like myself as an adult, wanting to get in touch with God and like figure out what He has and what I could do to further the kingdom. Devin is the one. I mean, he starts prayer with us every day in the morning. Like every day on Friday, like when we're on Discord having our morning meetings, he prays us out. So just seeing a 27-year-old be that in tune and start talking about past, I mean, a young person could tell you, you know what I'm saying? So I would tell the young person the same. So you get in touch by not being ignorant and beginning to listen, understanding that there might be something like that out there, and then figuring out what sources could help you learn about it, whether it's church or a book or somebody or something.
I say pray to him. If you have an inkling that he exists, pray that he show himself to you, reveal yourself to me. Show me the way, give me discernment. I know he's real because he showed me so many times stuff in my life, and he's always been there for me. And I know there's no way that I met him and I met Devin and he's just bringing all these godly men in my life by accident.
Right.
Like everybody I surround myself with is some sort of
love
with the Lord a little bit.
Word.
So I was like, okay, he exists and he wants, you know, my company to be rooted in him.
That's what's
And
up.
I believe that's why we get the increase.
That's lit.
Yeah, I was definitely lost. I wouldn't say lost because I was making good money, whatever I wanted to do, sales, construction. But I was jumping from job to job every 2 years. When I found him, this is one of the first time I've kept a job for longer than a year or two because he's shown me what my direction is.
And how long y'all been doing this?
2.5 now, going into 3.
2.5.
Yeah.
That's lit. So, you know, what motivates y'all, right? We got a lot of time. And with that time, sometimes you could be lazy. Sometimes boredom kicks. Sometimes I don't even get excited on deals, right?
Man,
You get to that point after you close 100, 200 deals, you don't even get excited. So what keeps y'all excited? What keeps y'all motivated and inspired?
So I want to be raw, bro. I've had, you know, recently just a little bit of loss of motivation because it's like you said, you get these deals, it's reoccurring, and you get used to it. And you got to kind of find, okay, what's my spark again? What's my why? Like, what made me even do this in the first place? And yeah, it's kind of like you got to look in the mirror and talk to yourself, and you know, and God helps too. And pray to Him. But mine is, you know, obviously I'm 27. I'm gonna be 30 in 3 years. Right. Life is nothing to play with. You gotta, like, we're men. We have to literally provide for our family. Lord be willing, we have one. He already has one. So I look up to Him too. He has a family. He provides for his kid. He provides for his girl. My dad. So I see these examples in my life. I'm like, you know what? That's really all it is right there. Just a family that I want to have one day. A relationship with the Lord, and He's giving me too much skills and abilities to just sit on it and waste it.
Oh. What about you? Like, what?
I'm not gonna come up here and say I didn't have anything growing up. I'm saying we didn't have like Porsches or nothing, but we definitely had a home. We had the N64s, like we had everything growing up. But it was, to me, what last year it was for the potential family time being with the family. Now that I have this kid, like any new father to come up here and say his motivation is anything else other than that kid is crazy. Like it's the kid. The kid is what makes me come up. Whatever time I want to wake up, 5 to 6 o'clock. A year ago, I'd have never rolled out that bed. Now, like that 2 hour piece in the morning, like you can get a lot done in that 2 hours. So that kid is what gets me going every day. Kai, love that man.
That's dope. That's dope. So, you know, this was great. I want to know one last question, right? What is y'all plans? What is y'all visions? What is y'all goals for 2024? If y'all could list one goal y'all really want to achieve.
Keep ours structured in, you know, the wholesaling business. We're looking to scale up, delegate, stop being owner-operators, just be owners, put in the right pieces, make sure we're getting up every day and putting that energy forth and doing the right thing. We know what to do. It's just up to us to get up and do it. But that's really it, bro. Just getting up, staying positive, holding each other accountable, which we do. They check me, they check me. Like, there's no ego here, bro. It's just like, okay, my bad, I'm slacking. We're literally putting together a contract on consequences if you don't hold up your end of the bargain in the company. Like, you can be terminated, you can, all of these stuff. So that's the stuff we need, and that's how you have checks and balances to
accountability.
Right,
that's dope.
2023 was get my time back and do what I want to do. I got that. Now 2024 is discipline, so I can have the time I want in the future. So 2024, I need to learn discipline. I mean, I would say I have it, but I don't. There's too many times when the alarm went off, I just shut it off and stayed in bed.
Right.
Like, this whole year is not that. Get up when the alarm gets off and just make sure I capture my discipline.
Let's get it. So this was dope. Where can the viewers, follow you guys at?
For me, Malik_Terrell on Instagram, Facebook, Malik Vaughn. You can join our group, DFW Land and Lots, Wholesale Land and Lots, number 214-482-0444.
Yeah, my phone number is 682-552-4598. Instagram is the Anthony Cedeno, Cedeno. And then we got an email where Devin, that individual is not here, but he's a bank full of information. So all three of us see this email, and it's rhdealcollection@gmail.com. Any question, any deals you want us to help you sell in the DFW and Houston area, you can email us there. If we don't answer, email us. We have to clear that out every day, so we'll see it.
Yeah. Before we end, I want to give you your flowers, bro. You're literally leading the charge in this land space, and we love what you're doing for the community, especially as a black person. I see you helping a lot of our people out, actually changing people's lives in the house, giving people financial freedom, giving back. So keep doing what you're doing and being yourself, and we love the marketing and all of that. So I definitely look up to you, bro.
Lit. Appreciate that, bro.
Appreciate the platform for us to get our word out.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate y'all for coming. So if y'all want to turn dirt into diamonds, make sure y'all tap in with the Game Changers.
Really?
Game Changers.